Hello, everyone. Mm, hello. I have been getting a lot of questions asking why I'm having so many surgeries, so I figured I would go live to explain it because I know a lot of people don't understand it. Hey, Van Vivian, good God, you know. It's Thursday? It's Thursday, right? Yeah, it's Thursday. Hi. And this really sucks because Twitter has been out for the last 2, 3 days, so it's still out. So I don't know how many people are gonna see this. I guess like all of the United States, when I looked on the map, all different parts of the world are having issues with Twitter right now. So if y'all see this, great. If not, I'm gonna save it so that way people can watch it later on. uh, I hope you feel better. Oh, I'm great. I'm great. So, and that's like, so I wanted to kind of go into this. So Twitter has like a limit of how much you can type in there. So I'm constantly trying to like cram words in, and you can never quite get out what you're trying to get out on Twitter. And you can like make a tweet and then make a subtweet and a subtweet, but it loses its, power when you have to constantly make subtweets to get your point across. So I was like, I think a video would be great. Okay, so let me get this situated. All right. So in 2020, I went 4,200 cc's on each side. I hopped on a plane 2 days after going 4,200 cc's. On the plane, this one ruptured. This side ruptured. It felt like I was having a heart attack, or the way I described it was like a softball hit me in the chest, but it was like from the inside. So that's why at first I thought, okay, maybe I'm having a heart attack. It was really weird feeling, and I just had like this wave of anxiety that wouldn't leave, which is why I initially thought, okay, I'm having a heart attack. But very weird feeling, very weird feeling to have something just burst inside of your body. It was really bizarre. So I get back to the house. I notice immediately that this side is different. And I called my doctor up and he's like, well, I did cut into, this side because I've always had trouble with this side sitting lower. So he cut into the pocket more to have this implant sit. And he's like, maybe that's what it is. But I was like, I don't know. Something's weird about it. So he's like, well, let's sleep on it and let's see. When I woke up, it was like deflated. So we were like, oh shit. Okay, so I knew I had to turn around, get back on the plane 1 day later after getting back home to Hawaii, and then flying back to seeing my doctor. He fixed this one. I went 4,200 again on this side. I got back home and something was off the entire time. It was just off. I knew something was going on, but I couldn't figure out what it was. Then I started having fevers of 104, and we knew, holy crap, this is really bad. And at that point, we obviously knew that I had an infection on the side. I ended up getting on February 2020. So I really need people to understand the whole process of this, because if you don't, then you're not going to understand why I'm going through what I'm going through. On February 2020, I had this side taken out. Now, most surgeons, or at least it was in Hawaii because my husband's in the military, they will not take this side out. They are only concerned about this side because at that point, if I didn't get the implant taken out, I risked my life. So it hadn't reached the point where I would have sepsis or anything like that, or it wasn't that bad, but it was getting there. So they only took this side out. So for 3 weeks, I didn't have anything on this side and still had my right one in at 4,200. So that allows more time for the skin to stretch on this side. Because anytime you put, implants in, your skin, obviously, it needs to stretch, and the longer you have it in, more often than not, your skin is going to stretch. So this side was stretching. Meanwhile, this side was just continuing to shrink because there was no implant in there. I had a bad infection. It was dealt with, nipped it in the bud. It was great. I wasn't stitched up properly. So that's one of the issues why I have a dent as well. But that's fine. So when this one finally did get taken out, for some bizarre reason, like we still can't figure it out, this is the side that gives me the most issues now. Not the left where I had the infection, but my right. I shrank so quickly and ended up having a seroma in it. Like, it was intense. And ever since then, I have just had horrific issues on my right side. I was given the all clear from my reconstructive surgeon in Hawaii on base to go ahead and have surgery to get implants put back in. Because we obviously knew that if I didn't have the infection, that I obviously wouldn't take the implants out. So there was no debate as far as, well, are you going to get implants or not? We obviously knew I was when I healed. My new doctor, I had also been given the okay for. I believe it was incorrect. I only waited about 2 months. I should have waited at least 6 months after an infection. The unfortunate problem is that the more time without your implants in, that skin is going to continue, everything's going to continue to shrink, and it makes it harder for you to be able to go bigger. And since I love having bigger implants and being online, that's just kind of the thought process was like, okay, well, I've been given the okay, we're going to go ahead and go bigger. We're going to get, implants, or at that point it was expanders. So I went in and I got expanders put in. However, during the surgery on my left side, I suffered a horrific burn. And actually, this isn't just the burn. I have several burns. And this is not something that I've talked about before, but I try and be careful. So I ended up getting 5 or 6 burns, and the machine, the little thing, rolled all the way down and stopped right here, and it just landed, and it caused a horrific, painful, gnarly black burn. So I had no skin here. It was just gone. Everything was gone. That's how bad the burn is. Well, I already had expanders put in. So this happened literally right as he was done with the surgery. You can't take the expanders out. Once they're in, they're in. That would have caused a gaping hole even more than what I had, because I had a hole. I had a sizable hole right after the surgery in 2020. Probably, I'm trying to be as clear and concise as I can. Probably about that big of a hole. I was scared. I was freaking out. I didn't know if it was going to heal right, what was going to happen, and it didn't heal. It's very translucent. So I couldn't do anything until it healed, and it never healed properly. And so he, my doctor at the time, he's like, well, maybe by getting the fills, it'll kind of, because it's dented in, it'll kind of push it out, and maybe it'll help it heal. Because there's nothing on the inside to help it heal. So there's nothing that we could do for the burn. There just wasn't. I had to let it do its thing. And it just never did. Meanwhile, all this is happening, my right side just has been giving me nothing but issues. I've just had, it wouldn't drop properly, just a lot of pain, a lot of issues. When I first got the expanders put in, 2,000 cc expanders were put in, but it was only filled to 1,000 cc's. And I had to wait a little bit. And while I was waiting, scar tissue was wrapping around my expanders and choking the life out of my expanders. So anytime I would go and fill, it was causing bulging saline to pop up in different places, and it felt like I was getting this painful rug burn on the inside, because the scar tissue is being stretched as it's being filled with saline, and it can't break, it can't go anywhere. And occasionally I would hear pops inside, and that was the scar tissue. Sorry, I have hair. Sorry. And that was the scar tissue breaking away. But I had that much just wrapped around my expander, and it was just choking the life out of my expander and not allowing it to fill. Now you got to understand, once you get all of this and you have a burn going on, you can't take the expanders out, because I had a horrific burn and I had to let it heal. I didn't have an option. The expanders had to stay in. So I'm going through all of this, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm supposed to cope with this online, how I'm supposed to tell people all of this when so many, narratives were being presented out there and people were making up so many different versions of what they thought happened. So it was just a lot to kind of cope with, which is why I went through what I went through in 2020. I think it's one of the reasons why I had so much depression and why I was on medication. At the same time dealing with all of this, my kids were at home and I was homeschooling them because of the pandemic. So it was just a mix of everything constantly going on. I spent my entire 2020 into 2021 year out of a suitcase because I had to constantly go back. I had to get my burn checked like every month or so. I had to always go back to California from Hawaii and get my burn looked at. Like, it was really intense year for me. And I don't think people understand just how much this burn really impacted me and what it meant for future surgeries, future reconstructive surgeries, and things like that. One of the main reasons, so not cosmetics solely, that I need to get the burn taken care of is that I have a tendon resting on my burn. And this tendon is pushing on the burn, and every so often I can feel it, and it's painful. So I need to get it closed up, and I need to get that fixed. As I had discussed, on the left side, when I had the infection, it caused a dent on the left nip, and I couldn't take care of it. I couldn't do anything. I needed to let it heal. I needed to let it rest. So in the process, you just have to keep going on. You have to keep getting your fills. You have to keep doing what you can. So in November of 2020, I went back to another doctor and I got a 2500cc expander shell put in. The doctor said, you need reconstructive surgery. Your expander is being choked. We need to cut it all out and we need to have surgery for that. And my number one priority and concern was my burn. And I said, is it going to affect my burn? You can see it right now. You can see the tendon pressing on the burn. And he said, no, it won't affect the burn. And he's like, but you're still healing and you can't be messing with that. We need to be careful with that. So I did that. The expanders didn't do anything. It made things worse. It just wasn't for me. I just didn't like it. I know some people who have expanders who do absolutely fantastic, love them. It works for them. Everybody is different. So I don't ever tell anybody don't do expanders, and I don't ever tell anybody don't do implants. It is one of those things where sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And if you're going to get implants or expanders, you need to make sure that you understand that shit could happen. And it could be very, very costly. It's people just want to run out and get surgeries done and not understand that when you're signing that dotted line, something could happen. And you need to make sure that you have the mental capability of handling that, the funds, because let's just be straight up and honest about it, it's very costly. So I'm fortunate enough that I can do that. But anyways, I had the surgery in November of 2020 with the expanders. It didn't work. So then when I moved back to Washington, and last year in November, I asked about the burn, and he said, well, if you're going to go bigger, then no, you don't want to touch the burn. So I just thought, okay, well, I'll live with it, or I don't remember what I was thinking. We honestly kind of thought it was going to correct a lot of issues, and just going back to implants, it wasn't something that I really thought, okay, I'm going to have more issues. I don't think anyone goes into surgery thinking, I'm definitely going to have issues. I think it's smart to assume that there's a possibility, but I'm not going to be going, oh my God, I know for sure I'm going to have issues. So I did. I thought I was going to correct it, and it didn't. So I'm currently 3,500 cc's. Now, one of the reasons why people are confused is because they think that I'm taking all the implants out, and I'm not. So when I kept seeing those kind of comments, I was like, okay, I need to go live to explain it because people are just getting confused. I'm currently 3,500 cc's on each side. I'm going down to 2,500 cc's, which I know there is a big boob community out there. I get it. I totally get it. I'm a part of it. I've been a part of it. I understand the boob greed. I get it. And I understand the guys and the girls that watch us expand and get bigger and go, those are boob goals, or the guys that are like, oh my God, I absolutely love it. Bigger is better. But I will say, and I know that I'm just talking just to talk because people are still going to do what people do. But putting that kind of pressure on us, it isn't helpful. I know everybody likes big boobs. Trust me, I get it. Otherwise, you wouldn't follow me and you wouldn't be a part of the big boob community. But sometimes you need to fix things, and it's not the size, it is correcting the issues. People seem to think that I'm cutting my left nip and I will no longer have a nip. So I was confused on that one, but no, I will have a nip. I don't have enough skin to move the nip over at the current size that I'm at, be stitched up right here from moving it over, and be okay. So I have to downgrade to 2,500 cc's, thereabouts, because it could be a little bit less, it could be a little bit more, but thereabouts is where we think it'll be fine. At 2,500 cc's. And he has to cut it, and the doctor has to move it over because I have one nip that's over here and one nip that's right here. So, number two, I want to get them re-pierced. And kind of don't want to do that with wonky nips, if I'm being honest. Number three, it hurts when you see those kind of like emojis of the cross-eyed emojis, talking about my boobs. That, and for someone whose career is of social media, you pay attention to those kind of things. And if you have the ability to correct, then if that's something that bothers you enough, then you should be able to correct it. And so that's what I'm doing. All right, so back to the right side, because I had mentioned throughout the entire live video that I've had nothing but issues since my infection with the right side. The left side was the one I had the issues on, but the right side is the one that has just been giving me the most amount of problems. I don't know if it's because I sat too long at 4,200, and so it's a pain in the ass to try and get back. I don't know. But my right side, I have a capsular contraction, something like that. I don't say it right. I know I'm missing comments. Sorry. I just want to get this out, and then I'll scroll through and kind of look through comments. But I also need to get my son up in a minute, so I'm trying to hurry up. Okay. Anyways, so I cannot have the doctor cut in two and open up the pocket to have this implant sit, because I have nothing underneath here. If you look through some of my videos and my photos, you will notice on one side it hangs a little bit lower, and I have a little bit of bulge underneath. So I also think that I have some fluid built up on my right one. So I need to downsize this side in order for the doctor to open up the pocket to have the implant sit in, because I just don't have any skin. Nothing is stretching. It's not doing anything. My right is just saying, screw you. Yeah, we just don't like this size. And they may never like going bigger. I may get to 2,500 and my boobs just don't want to budge after that. And they may just be comfortable at 2,500. So I'm listening to my body, and I'm just being careful and cautious and saying, okay, it's no longer about the size. Now it's about correcting the issues that you had, that you have finally healed enough of. So once you have an infection, something that people don't understand is it takes years. It's years of work. It's years of waiting. It's years of surgery. It's a lot of work. Your body went through something horrific. I mean, think of football players when they have an extreme injury. It takes them years. I'm not talking about an ACL tear, because I have a fully torn left ACL and still haven't had surgery, and I'm still able to go on through my daily life. That's a little bit different. But I'm talking about just like the quarterback, Alex Smith, who had I talk about him all the time, who had like his, what happened, the bone popped out or whatever, and he had like 29 surgeries and things like that. So that takes years, and it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of waiting and seeing. It's a lot of trial and error, and that's how it happens. And sometimes you luck out, and sometimes you don't. So when people see that people are having surgeries, don't automatically jump to conclusions and assume that they're just, greedy and they just don't know when to stop and things like that, because sometimes they're being directed and told to do that to help with an issue that they had previously. And I know it's not something that's openly discussed, so that's why I'm discussing it. But there is a reason behind why people do what they do. It's not just that, that they're doing it. At least not most people that I know in the big boob community. I think we all want a healthy life and we all want to live around a while. So I don't think many of us are just going out and having willy-nilly surgeries and not remotely thinking of the consequences. But when you're on social media and you do what I do, there are people who feel that they can talk to you in any way that they want to and just degrade your very existence and make you feel like trash. I get it daily. We all get it daily just because of what we do. And I am of the belief that you don't know what you don't know. So if people don't tell you what's going on, then you have no idea how to respond or how to feel. And that's why I am as open as I am about everything that goes on. So yes, that is next Wednesday. I will be going from 3,500 cc's to 2,500 cc's. It is still big. If you look at any photo or video back from October before, I was 27, so not that far off from that. So they're big. They're still going to be big. I think that once people hear downsizing, they automatically just go, oh my God, there's something horrific. No one would ever downsize. Oh my God, what is she doing? And that's why I wanted to go live and kind of just break it down and say, nope, it's okay. Chill. This is what is happening. I am in the position where I have healed enough because everything has rested on the burn. Everything. I have had to wait for this to heal. And it's healed as much as it's possibly going to where we can cut into it and close it up and not have this dent anymore. So, oh my God. Okay. All right, sorry. It's good to understand your limits. Yes, and so there you go. Capsule contracture. Thank you, God. And I thought of you because I know, and I was like, oh, I need to tell her. So that's what my doctor actually wrote on the surgery for Wednesday next week when I had my pre-op. And I was like, oh, is that what it is? And he's like, yeah, that's what I think it is. He's like, cause you can see the implant, and actually, if you look at any of my stuff, like you can actually on my right side, well, the photos are usually flipped because of the way my nips look. So I'm not going to lie. I mean, vanity here. You are putting your body out on social media. You don't exactly want to put it out and look like, like you just crawled out of something. So you want to at least look somewhat decent. So I was flipping the photos, but you could actually see the outline of the implant and the way that it sits. So it's caused a lot of pain. I can't sleep without a bra on anymore, and I have to hold this boob up a lot just because there's nothing there to protect it. So it happens, shit happens. Boo-boo. Sorry for being late. What burned you? So right after my infection, and I had a doctor, not gonna say names. I unfortunately, we don't know the whole story because sadly he passed away. But something was dropped, and it started from here, and I actually still have the burn marks. So you can see there's one burn mark there. You can still see it. So it started from here, it dropped. I think I have like 6 or 8 burn marks, and then it landed right here. And when it landed, it actually put a hole through there. And thank God it was taken off quickly enough before it hit the expander. But because at the time it was in 2020 and I had expanders in, but it left a gaping hole in here. So I had to, oh, that was bad. So when I suffered the burn and I woke up, I just started crying because I was just like, oh my God, when I saw and heard what happened to me, I had to change out a Band-Aid. Not exaggerating, probably 6 to 8 times every day for months. And I had to have dressing on it. I had to buy special dressing. So it's like this mesh dressing, and it has medicine in it. And I had to put the dressing on there. Then I had to put a Band-Aid on there. And then once I didn't need the dressing anymore, after it started to close up, unfortunately, it started to close up and it started to get infected, and it was all black. So then I needed to put like a Neosporin on it and then keep the Band-Aid on it and change it. At that point, it was like 2 to 3 times a day. But because of the Band-Aid, having it on for months and changing it every, few hours, we had boxes and boxes and boxes of Band-Aids. Like, not an exaggeration. When I say it was a terrifying time for me and a burn, it really was. Like, it really was. And I had huge, just shit all over here from the Band-Aid because the Band-Aid had to be big. So I kept breaking out from the Band-Aids because I had to keep changing them and ripping them off my skin. I mean, I was constantly itching. It was painful. It was, oh my gosh, it was an event. But I mean, I was alive, and I knew that eventually things would settle down. So I wasn't going to come on social media and complain and cry, because my way of thinking always has been and always will be. And this doesn't mean that people aren't allowed to have feelings and react in certain ways. But for me, the way I saw it was, you're alive, your family is safe, you are here. It could have been worse. People are dying every day. People have cancer. People are losing their loved ones. People are losing kids. You are physically here, and you know that you can heal. It's not a debilitating disease. It's not something like that you will never come out of. So for that reason, and just my overall, just the way that I am, I was not at all going to go online and bash the doctor, bash what happened, and cry about it. And in fact, I lied to OnlyFans, to all my subscribers, because they obviously saw the Band-Aids. And the only thing that I could think of, because I was trying to protect the doctor, was that I left a curling iron sitting on here because I was on medication. Honestly, I think people saw through that because I just sounded stupid and lame when they realized that after months I was still having a dressing on and it was painful. But at the time, it was the only thing that I could think of because it literally happened, and I was on social media and I was like, well, shit, I've got to come up with something. And I just didn't want my doctor's reputation to be ruined over something that had never happened, in his career before. That's not a common thing. So that was interesting, and that sucked for me. It sucked being put in that position where I had to lie, but it honestly just sucked because I'm a shitty liar in the first place. So having to do that really sucked. Okay. Basically, implants aren't a one-time thing. They are constant maintenance. 100% yes. And, again, I've said this. You don't know what you don't know. And it's important for me to come out and talk about it because there's so many girls who just don't know, who want to get implants and don't realize that, there could be a potential that you have to downsize because even the smaller size that you're at may not work. So you need to be able to have the funds. And I mean, that's the honest truth. There is no pussyfooting around that. You need to have the funds to be able to keep up with surgeries if you want to go bigger, if there's an issue and things like that. Just point blank period. That is like legit the truth. There is no way to go around that. And I feel bad because you see people who are in that position where they can't recover and they don't have that ability to do that. So I understand, and my heart goes out. It's not an easy thing to deal with. And it's just not something people want to talk about. And I get it. I understand why people don't want to talk about. It's a private and personal thing. And especially when it comes to money, that's not something people talk about with good reason. So, but it's getting to a point now where I just feel like we just need to be freaking honest and open about this shit. I mean, shit happens. It's not even just breast implants. It could be anything that you get done. There could be crap that goes wrong. I mean, you could get Botox and it could go wrong. You can get lip fillers and it could go wrong. So you could get butt implants, and we all know that butt implants can go wrong. That's why I will never touch my butt. I'm like, nope. I love everyone who does, who has no issues, but I ain't putting myself through that. I'm like, I've had enough shit go wrong. I ain't doing that. Okay. All right, I'm going to get off. I'm going to go and see my son, but I just wanted to come on and go live for you guys, and just explain everything that is going wrong. It's not wrong, but just issues that I need to correct, that I can finally correct because my burn is healed enough that I can actually make these corrections. Because so another thing before I go, when you have implants, like when I had surgery in November, he wasn't coming close to the burn. So that was fine. So he's like, you're getting there, you just still need a little bit more time. But then when he was looking at it, he's like, no, I actually think we can probably do it. He's like, we're going to do it a different way than what I initially planned on doing. So if I were to close up this burn from here to here and pinch that way, then the implant would fall out. He's like, but if we do it this way, and I will just have like a long scar, probably about that long, which is, it's fine because it'll heal, obviously. So yeah, but anyways, all right, I want to let you guys go. I love you guys. Have a great day. I don't know if I will be on social media. I'm trying to prep for my surgery and just kind of chill. This week has been really long. Actually, the last 3 weeks has been like 3 months to us. We've had just so much stuff going on. So, but yeah. All right, I love y'all. Bye, guys.